Hello subscribers, and welcome to a subscription video together with Casper.
Once again,
because once again we have a delicious coffee that you've been in charge of sourcing for us.
Yes, Ethiopia.
And Ethiopian Halo. And I'm fresh back from the World of Coffee show in Milan, where we were able to pre-launch this coffee, show it to the world for the first time this year. And I have to say, this was a show stealer. This had so much attention, people were loving it. Nice. It was the first of the coffees that we sold out completely. So I'm very excited about sharing with you subscribers as well. Before we start anything, we should actually start tasting some coffee, because I brewed these espressos just a minute before starting the video.
Cheers.
Skål! That's good. Now that we have some coffee in the system, we should maybe just dive into Ethiopia, Yirgacheffe region. Halo is what? What is Halo?
Halo is a small village. It's in the bottom of an alley, so there's like hills going up on all sides of this little town. It's south of Yirgacheffe, so you drive down to Yirgacheffe, then you go down to Gedep, and then you take off the path, like on small dusty roads, and then you hit Halo.
And Yirgacheffe is one of the most renowned regions for coffee in the world. It's been prized for many years for its amazing aroma, its heirloom varieties growing there. It's kind of the soil and climate where coffee Arabica originated from. And Yirgacheffe has always been renowned for these citrusy flavors, bergamot, very floral coffees as well. And I think that's why we fell in love with the Halo as well. It's
Absolutely.
a good example of that kind of coffee, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, the thing is, in this valley, you have one of the valleys is pretty close to Gucci. The other one is more Yirgacheffe, so you can actually get a hint of both regions, even though it's all Yirgacheffe. Yeah. So, and I think that's what's fun about these two. So they're processed at the same factory, which our partners there, Metat, they run, but they're bought from two different slopes or hillsides.
Okay, so and when you say factory, that's a washing station or a wet mill, as it's also called, right?
Exactly.
Run by Metat, and then they buy the cherries from these two different micro-regions, you can call it.
Exactly. So they train the farmers in organic practices, and then the farmers get to choose if they want to sell it to Metat or any other of the washing stations in the area. But normally they would pay a higher price. They give them all this knowledge, they train them, so of course there's some co-op between them. So
and some kind of loyalty going back the other way.
Absolutely.
And so you say these two different microregions, it's called Chelchele?
Chelchele and Gotiti.
Gotiti. Chelchele and Gotiti. And how would you describe the difference between these two?
So the Chelchele is more like the traditional Yirgacheffe coffee. So it has like all the things that we love about Yirgacheffe coffee. It has the citrus, the lemon, a bit of peachy notes maybe, but it's just like super classic, beautiful, clean Yirgacheffe. The Gotiti, on the other hand, has some of the qualities from a Gucci, but from my perspective, just a bit of a more clean finish. Some of the time the Guccis can have a bit of a hoppy feel. Yeah. We get a hint of that, but not as much. So it's more like a tropical aromas you get. So like lychee, peach again, mandarin. So more like orangey and tropical fruits, where the other one is more fresh and floral. Nice.
Yeah, I think it's funny you mentioned the hoppy aromas, because I think a lot of these southern Ethiopians can quite often be very hoppy, like an IPA and that kind of like intensity, bordering to like a herbal kind of finish. Yeah. And some people love it. I don't like it that much. I think it's a little bit like, I'd rather have like more clean tones of fruit, citrus, and then have more like clean floral aromas like the jasmine and lilacs and those things.
You're a Chelchele guy.
I'm Chelchele guy for sure. But I think the other thing is interesting at least when there is, if it's like stone fruits and there's more like, as you also mentioned, like peaches and lychee and that kind of fruit tones mixed with it. Yeah. Do you think people will have an easy time, our subscribers here will have an easy time tasting the difference between these two?
I mean, it is both Yirgacheffe coffees. They're both clean, they're nice and bright. I think it's going to be subtle, depending on how clean your water is you brew it on. I mean, if you have clean water, it's going to be easier to detect the minor changes. I think everybody will be able to taste it, actually.
And when we say clean water, we would really recommend that you either buy a bottle of water or you invest in a really good water filter. We measure water in parts per million, and the Danish tap water is like 450. Half of that is bicarbonate hardness. We actually, for these kind of coffees, use clean reverse osmosis filtered water. That's down around 15 to 30 ppm. It's not zero, would be distilled. It's not quite there, but we really recommend you try to find water with very low ppm to taste these subtle differences between the two. Yeah. We are also, with these two coffees, not gonna launch them like this in our own shops. We're gonna do one at a time and then the other one. So you're actually the only ones who'll have this chance to taste them side by side at this point. We hope you'll find that interesting. The
espressos, this year we've actually changed up our espresso profile or roasting profile quite significantly. We felt like with these subtle like floral aromas, we really wanted to highlight it. So we've gone quite a bit lighter than we've usually done. Much lighter actually. So this is somewhere lighter than most of our filter coffees actually. Yeah. We've tested it out several times now and we just find it super awesome. It's just so clear aromas and an explosion of just florals and citrus.
And again, to get the most out of that, I'd recommend doing a similar shot to what we did here. Can start out with a classic 1:2 ratio. We brewed this at 19 grams in and 41 grams out. That seemed to work really well. You open it up a little more for the flavors and the aromas if you have a little more water through compared to coffee. But I wouldn't go too far either. I like to keep some of that intensity as well. And although it's very light for an espresso especially, I still think it's actually quite easy to work with because it is such an aromatic coffee that is quite forgiving. You're gonna have wonderful aromas, good acidity and good balance, even if your brew and water isn't completely optimal.
There's a really high natural sweetness here, so there's no need to I don't know, roast any of that. I mean, to bring it forward. It's just there by nature, so it will become somewhat balanced, even though it's extremely aromatic. So.
Yeah, and also with the roast profile that you're doing, because you have a very specific roast profile that actually still fully develops the coffee throughout each of the beans. Again, that was the feedback we heard at World of Coffee, was that for such a light roasted coffee, it was incredibly well developed, and that brings out that sweetness, but also the natural aromas of that coffee in a really good way. So we hope you'll have fun brewing these two coffees. Thank you for sharing insights into them.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time for two new exciting coffees.
Cheers.